I've spent a lot of time in my life thinking about the body, strength and training, food and recovery, appearance and performance, what the body can do, and what happens when it can't do what it used to. But the older that I get, the more I started thinking about the body differently, not just as something to build and not just something to show off to people, but not just something to criticize every time I look in the mirror, and not even something that ultimately belongs to me, but something I've been entrusted with. And if that's true, then maybe taking care of my body isn't just about looking better. Maybe it's about stewardship. And I think we can get this wrong in both directions. On one side, we can worship the body. Everything becomes an appearance: muscle, weight, youth, performance, trying desperately to hold on to something that was never going to last forever. And on the other side, we can neglect the body, eat whatever, never move, never rest, ignoring the warning signs, pushing ourselves until we're exhausted, and almost act like caring for our physical health doesn't matter because spiritual things are somehow more important. I'm not convinced either one is right because my body's where God placed me. It's how I hold my children, it's how I hug my wife, it's how I work and serve, it's how I walk into a room and help someone, it's how I kneel down to pray, and it's how I experience the world God created. And for however many years I'm given, that body is going to be carrying me through them. And that makes me want to treat it with some respect, not obsession, but respect. Paul wrote that our bodies are actually temples of the Holy Spirit. And I've heard that verse used in a lot of different ways, sometimes almost like a threat. Don't do this because your body's a temple. But I've started hearing something different in it: value. If something's a temple, you don't worship the temple, you worship the one who dwells in it. And but you also don't intentionally destroy it. You care for it because of what it's for. That's changed the way that I actually think about health. I don't want health to become my god because eventually, no matter how disciplined I am, this body's going to age. Strength is going to fade. Things will hurt, and eventually this body will die. No diet can prevent that forever. No exercise program can outrun mortality. And strangely, that actually makes caring for my body feel healthier because I'm not trying to save myself through fitness. I'm trying to steward what I have for as long as I have it. And that's a huge difference. I can exercise because I'm grateful that I can move. I can eat well because food is fuel and nourishment, not because I'm terrified of losing control. I can sleep because I'm a human being, right? Not a machine. I can rest without feeling guilty. I can work hard without believing exhaustion is going to prove my worth. And I can enjoy good food without turning every meal into a moral test. Balance. That's something I've had to learn because discipline can become pride too. You can start taking care of yourself and quietly begin looking down on everyone who doesn't live like you. And you can become so proud of your health that the thing you thought was stewardship becomes another way of worshiping yourself. And I've been there in different forms. It's easy to compare how much someone lifts, what someone weighs, how disciplined they seem, when they eat, what they look like. But stewardship isn't comparison. We've already talked about that. The question isn't what did God give their body? It's what does faithfulness look like with my body, with mine? That's different for everybody. Some people are incredibly strong. Some live with limitations that nobody else sees. Some are young. Some are old. Some can run miles. Some are grateful just to walk across the room. And the value of a human being has absolutely nothing to do with physical ability. That's important. Our bodies have value because God gave them to us, but our bodies don't determine our value. I think we desperately hold both truths because otherwise health becomes identity, and when the body changes, our identity collapses with it. I've experienced enough physical limitations to know how humbling the body can be. One day you do something without thinking about it, then something happens and suddenly you're aware of every movement. Pain has a way of reminding you that you're not invincible. Youth can make us forget that. When you're young, it's easy to borrow from the future. Stay up all night, run yourself into the ground, ignore recovery, and eat terribly. Push through everything and assume that tomorrow's body is somehow going to pay the bill without complaint. But eventually, tomorrow arrives, And I've started thinking about health almost like money. There are investments, there are withdrawals. Sleep is an investment, movement is an investment, strength is also an investment. Good food is an investment, recovery is an investment, managing strength even is an investment. And neglect has a cost, not always immediately, right? That's what makes it easy to ignore. But over the years, small choices compound. We've talked about that with sin. We've talked about it with time. It's true physically too. What I do repeatedly matters more than what I do occasionally. And that doesn't mean I don't need perfection, right? That means I don't need perfection. That's freeing because one healthy meal, it isn't going to destroy my body, right? One unhealthy meal isn't going to destroy my body. One workout isn't going to transform it. One terrible night of sleep isn't the end of the world. It's the direction that matters. What am I doing most of the time? That's a much healthier question. And there's something else I've been learning. Rest is stewardship too. For some people, the challenge isn't doing more, it's stopping. Jesus rested. He slept. He withdrew from crowds. He ate. He participated in ordinary human life. And yet, we sometimes act like running ourselves into complete exhaustion is evidence that we're faithful. Maybe sometimes it's evidence that we don't believe the world can keep turning without us. And I've had to confront that myself because there's pride hidden inside the forms of overwork. I can't stop. Everyone needs me. Everything depends on me. No, it doesn't. And I'm important to people. I have responsibilities, but I'm not God. Sleeping is one of the most humbling things a human being does. Every night we become unconscious and God keeps the universe running. Maybe that's part of the lesson. I can rest because he's still God even when I'm asleep. I've also started thinking about what I want my body to be capable of later in life, and not just what I want it to look like now. And I want to have energy for my family. I want to be able to play, to walk, to travel, to serve people, to pick things up, to work and be useful. And I know none of that is guaranteed. Bodies break, disease happens, accidents happen, genetics matter. There are things discipline cannot control. So this isn't about believing that health is entirely in our hands. It isn't. It's about taking responsibility for the part that is. That's stewardship. Do what you can with what you've been given and trust God with what you can't control. I think that principle applies to almost everything. And maybe someone listening to this has spent years hating their body, looking in the mirror and seeing nothing but flaws. Too big, too small, too old, too scared, not strong enough, maybe not attractive enough. And I think there's another way. Maybe instead of asking, does my body meet the world standard? Ask, how do I care for the body he gave me? That's a much gentler question. And honestly, a much more demanding one too, because caring, right, sometimes means discipline. Sometimes it means getting up and moving when you don't feel like it. Sometimes it means putting the food down. Sometimes it means eating enough instead of punishing yourself. Sometimes it means going to bed. Sometimes it means seeing a doctor instead of ignoring something. Sometimes it means accepting an limitation of your body instead of constantly fighting that your body doesn't have one. And sometimes it means simply being grateful. Grateful for lungs that breathed today, a heart that kept beating while it wasn't thinking about it, eyes that saw another sunset, hands that held someone that you love, legs that carried me when I needed to let go. Because we become so familiar with these things that we forget that they're extraordinary until one function of your body stops working. And I don't want to wait until something is gone before I'm grateful that I had it. So I'm trying to change the way that I think about health. I don't want to pursue health because I'm afraid of dying. I want to care for my body because I'm grateful to be alive. I don't want strength so that I can feel superior. I want strength so that I can be useful. And I don't want energy merely so that I can accomplish more in my life. I want energy so that I can be present. I don't want longevity because I'm trying to cling desperately to this world. I want to be available for whatever years God chooses to give me. And when those years are finally finished, I know this body isn't coming with me, right? In its current form, anyways. The Christian hope that we somehow preserve these bodies forever, it's resurrection. So that's beautiful for me because it means I can care deeply about my health without making health ultimate. I can train and rest. I can be disciplined and enjoy life. I can care about what happens to my body without allowing my body to become who I am. So maybe today, don't look at your body as an ornament. Don't look at it as an enemy. And don't look at it as a God. Look at it as a gift, something temporary, something valuable, something you've been entrusted with. And ask God, what would faithfulness look like with this? Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's drinking some water. Maybe it's just getting some sleep. Maybe it's finally dealing with something that you've ignored. Maybe it's resting. Maybe it's becoming grateful for what your body can still do instead of constantly resenting what it can't. Whatever it is, start there. Not because taking care of your body makes you more valuable, but because you've already been given value. And this body, for however long you have it, is one of the things that God's placed in your hands to steward. So care for it, use it, strengthen it where you can, and spend the strength that you've been given on something worth living for. Because at the end of the day, you got to live, man. You've been given this body and you ain't going to experience life. No, go live it, man. And take care of what you've been given. Until next time, man. Hey, peace.